welcome to my channel, and this is my first What If. This is called What If Peter Parker was in Miraculous Ladybug. No more waiting. Let's go to chapter 1. Marinette was almost late for school again. Almost. Again. It wasn't really her fault. Her phone alarm didn't go off. Again. Marinette, get up, you're going to be late for school, Tiki had exclaimed, waking her up as best as she could. Marinette had almost broken her record for getting ready quickly in the morning. Almost. Girl, you really need to get a reliable alarm to wake you up in the morning. Actually, I'm going to be that alarm. I'll call you at the same time every day to make sure you've woken up and are getting ready for school. How does that sound? Alia told Marinette, grinning. Oh, I'm sure you'll be really reliable, Alia. Marinette joked. Hey, I am the creator of the Lady blog. I post every day. At the same time, how is that not reliable? I'm more reliable than you are. You always change the date and the time of everything, and really last minute. And how many excuses do you have for leaving class again? Alia teased, with mock offense in her voice. Alright, I get it. Marinette laughed. You're more reliable than I am. You always seem to disappear, especially when there is an Akuma attack. Alia continued, narrowing her eyes. It would almost seem like you're Ladybug. Marinette froze. And no, I'm not Ladybug. Alia immediately dropped her serious face. Of course I know you're not Ladybug, she laughed. I've seen you two in the same room before, and besides, Ladybug told me herself that she's thousands of years old, and you don't look a day over 100. Alia teased. Thanks, Marinette replied, the fear disappearing in an instant. When did she saw me and Ladybug in the same room? Marinette thought. Alia, chill dude, Miss Bustier hasn't even gotten here yet. So even if Marinette was late, our teacher would probably have been later. It's been 10 minutes since the bell went, Nino said, turning around. Adrien turned around too. True. Where on earth is our teacher? And also, Nino, why are you listening to our conversation? Alia asked Nino. Adrien grinned. You guys were talking pretty loud. And besides, as soon as you guys mentioned Ladybug, Adrien was listening, weren't you? Nino interrupted, and Adrien scowled at him. Alia stifled a laugh, and Marinette blushed. Did Adrien have a crush on Ladybug her? She brushed the thought aside as the teacher finally walked in, followed by a tall boy who walked in nervously. Good morning, class. Miss Bustier grinned. You all remember how we asked you all if any of you wanted to go to America as an exchange student? Well, in the meantime, we had students from America coming to our school for a few weeks. The teacher stepped aside, letting him introduce himself. Hi, I'm Peter. Peter Parker. He grinned nervously, lifting up his right hand to wave slightly. His short brown hair was combed over to the side and a backpack was strewn over his shoulder. I'm from America. Obviously. And my French may be not good all the time. I mean, my French might not be great all the time. So if I make any mistakes, don't get mad at me. He rubbed his hands together nervously, his gaze drifting from person to person in the classroom. His gaze landed on Marinette, and they made eye contact briefly. Marinette glanced down at her desk, her face growing hot. Miss Bustier clapped her hands together briefly. Okay, Peter, why don't you sit in Ivan's row, behind Marinette and Alia? Ivan went to America with the other exchange students from other classes, so his seat is free. Peter walked up the steps and sat down behind Marinette. She could hear him fidgeting behind her. Meanwhile, the teacher was fidgeting through things on her desk. She stopped searching and clapped her hands together briefly. Sorry, class. I just have to go grab something from another room. I'll be back in about 5 minutes, Miss Bustier said, walking out of the room. As soon as she closed the door behind her, the class broke into chatter. Hey, I'm Peter, a voice said from behind Marinette. Marinette and Alia turned around to see Peter leaning over the desk, his hand outstretched towards them. He drew his hand backwards. You already know my name, as I just told you it, but what I meant was, nice meet you too. Nice to meet you. Well, nice to meet you too, Peter. I'm Alia. Alia grinned, reaching out and shaking his half-outstretched hand. Peter turned towards Marinette. So that makes you Margaret? Oops, no, that's not right. Forgive me. Peter muttered something under his breath in another language, presumably English. What was your name again? Marinette? My name's Marinette. She smiled, hesitantly shaking his hand. Nice to meet you. Marinette, did I say that right? I think I said it right. Peter grinned. I'm Nino, and this other kid next to me in the front row is Adrien. Nino interrupted, reaching between Marinette and Alia to shake Peter's hand. Hi Nino. Hi Adrien. Peter smiled. So many names. Adrien waved from the front row. Hello Peter. And I'm Nathaniel. Nathaniel said from behind Peter, and Peter turned around in surprise. Sorry Nathaniel. I forgot I wasn't in the back row. Peter apologized as the teacher walked in through the door holding a few books and a folder. Okay, class. I'm back, Miss Bustier said as she came through the door. We can finally start. Everyone turned back to the front as Miss Bustier began to finally teach the class. Chapter 2. It was during Miss Mendeleev's science class that an Akuma attacked. With a loud crash, a large branch was thrown through the window, barely missing Miss Mendeleev. She jumped backwards, turning towards the window. Outside in the streets was a dragon tearing up trees and flipping cars. It must be an Akuma, Marinette thought, slinging her purse over her shoulder and preparing to leave. A voice was heard over the loudspeakers, and everyone started to pack their things, as they knew where to go. Akuma alert everyone, please find a safe place to shelter while Ladybug and Chat Noir take care of the Akuma. Marinette stood up, and Alia followed, pulling out her phone. Her eyes brimmed with excitement. Marinette smiled. Alia would be anywhere that wasn't safe, trying to catch a glimpse of the Akuma or of Ladybug or Chat Noir so that she could film them and upload it to her blog. Despite the small amount of fear everyone in the room felt, there was a buzz of excitement floating around as everyone anticipated what was going to happen next. The only one who didn't know what was going on was Peter. He followed behind the rest of the students as they filed out of the room with a confused look on his face. What is going on? He asked Nino. It's an Akuma attack. A what? An Akuma. Someone has been akumatized and someone has been turned into a super villain by the evil Hawkmoth. Alia interrupted dramatically, and Marinette smiled at Peter's confused look. A super villain, Peter echoed. Yeah, a super villain, but that's not why. Alia pulled out her phone to film. We have our two superheroes that will save the day, Ladybug and Chat Noir. Nino grinned as they walked down the stairs to the ground floor of the school. France has superheroes, Peter asked suspiciously. Yes. Well, really, it's only Paris that has the superheroes, Nino replied. Don't you have superheroes in America? Didn't they call themselves the Avengers or something? Yeah, no. Iron Man and Captain America? Well, yeah, I guess. How come I've never heard about Ladybug or Chat Noir? Nino shrugged. I dunno. Maybe you could ask them yourselves. You think I'm just going to run into one of them? Peter asked. Probably not, but Alia might. You can tag along with her, Nino responded. Huh? I'm going after the Akuma. I need to catch it on video so I can. Going after the Akuma, I need to catch it on video so I can post it on my lady blog. And if I'm lucky, I can see Ladybug and Chat Noir, Alia responded, excitement painting her voice. You can come with me if you want, sure, Peter grinned. But I won't be able to stay for too long. I have to figure out where Chloe Bourgeois lives. That's who I'm staying with. Do you know her? Nino smiled sympathetically. Yeah, we know her. Good luck, dude, he said, patting a confused Peter on the back. Bye guys, I'll see you later. I should get home. My parents will be wondering where I am. Marinette interrupted, waving goodbye as they exited the school. I'll have to go too, Adrien said, motioning to the limo parked outside of the school. Dad wants me home. He rolled his eyes with a smile and waved goodbye to them as well. Marinette double-checked that she wasn't followed into the empty building before opening the small purse by her side. Her magical Kwame friend flew up to greet her, with what seemed like a wide-eyed grin on her face. Hey Tiki, ready to transform? Marinette whispered, clenching her fist with a smile on her face. What are you waiting for, Marinette? The Kwame responded, and Marinette nodded. Tiki, spots on, Marinette exclaimed with another whisper, and a flash of light engulfed the dark room. It really did look like a dragon, or whatever you'd think a dragon would look like. A long neck ended in a reptilian-looking head, and large green scales adorned its muscular body, and giant webbed wings were folded behind its back. Its eyes blazed with anger, reflecting the fiery inferno flowing from its mouth. The tail of the giant lizard was sharpened to a point, and sharpened claws raked down the sides of buildings. Apart from the stereotypical aspects of the dragon, there was one thing unusual about the beast. The body of the lizard was covered in chains of different sizes and materials. One of these chains presumably holding the Akuma. A small thump of feet announced the arrival of her partner, Chat Noir. Marinette, currently Ladybug, turned to see him grinning, not exactly the emotion you would presume he would have at that moment. Hello Chat Noir, Ladybug nodded, acknowledging his presence. You decided to turn up? Oh, you know, Chat Noir responded, waving his hand vaguely. I got caught up with a few things. Marinette raised her eyebrows and returned her calculating gaze to the giant dragon tearing up Paris with explosions of fire and smoke. Did you figure out where the Akuma is? Chat Noir asked. I'm thinking it's in one of the many chains wrapped around it. Marinette responded. That's what I thought too. There's too many to destroy each of them. We need to figure out which one to break. But how do we figure out which one? I don't know, Captain Obvious. How do we figure it out? Marinette responded curtly, glancing at her partner briefly. Hey, I was just asking a question. You're the one who is smarter than me. Or so I've been told. Chat Noir snorted, holding his hands up in surrender. Well, he grinned. We might as well just break them all until a butterfly pops out. Chat. No, as she was trying to stop him, he leapt off the roof, heading towards the dragon. She heard a faint yell of cataclysm, coming from the blonde-haired superhero, and Marinette saw him strike one of the chains. It instantly crumbled into a black ash, but no Akuma came out. He chose the wrong one. Chat Noir. She hissed as he landed back on the roof, a guilty look on his face. There's at least another 10 chains. Why did you do that? I dunno. I thought I'd get lucky. He grinned, and he looked down at his hand as his ring began to beep 5 minutes until he de-transformed. Marinette rolled her eyes. You might as well go de-transform now. It'll probably take me a while to come up with a plan. And I'm assuming that plan will involve your cataclysm. Chat Noir nodded quietly and leapt off the building, ducking into an alleyway out of Marinette's sight. Marinette returned her gaze to the absolutely terrifying dragon, causing an uproar in the city in front of her. The giant lizard wasn't actively seeking out Ladybug or Chat Noir, and was presumably ignoring the orders of Hawk Moth. She heard a thump of feet landing on the roof behind her. Chat Noir is back already? She thought, turning around. Chat Noir, you certainly didn't take your time today. Double quotes. It wasn't Chat Noir standing behind her. Chapter 3. You're definitely not Chat Noir. Marinette took a step back. What gave it away? Responded an accented voice. Is it the suit? For starters, red isn't his color. Marinette replied warily. The person who was definitely not Chat Noir wore a red suit that covered his entire body. Thin dark lines were scrawled along him resembling a spider's web. Parts of his suit were highlighted with blues and golds, and a symbol resembling a spider was on his chest, its legs extending over his shoulders. Really? He replied. Red is quite a great color, I think. You're wearing it. You've got good taste. The white eyes on his mask narrowed and shrunk as he spoke. The suit also stretched over his face. The only thing portraying emotion was the 2 white eyes that would narrow into slits every so often. The whole suit had a metallic look to it, as if it were made of some sort of metal rather than the spandex latex material of Ladybug and Chat Noir's suits. But unlike a suit of armor, he seemed to be able to move as freely as Marinette could in her own suit. I'm sure I do, Marinette replied. Who are you, exactly? Me. I'm Spider-Man, he exclaimed. You've never heard of me? Marinette formed a small O with her mouth. Oh, you're that superhero. From America. The one in all the YouTube videos? Yeah, so you do know me. He stuck his thumb up and placed it on his chest as if pointing to himself. So you're Ladybug? Spider-Man asked. That is correct. You know who I am? Marinette responded. Yeah, of course. Everyone knows who Ladybug is. Marinette could almost hear him grinning. Especially when you have such great taste. Somehow during their meaningless chatter, he had made his way over to Marinette, and was now nudging her arm with his elbow. Is he flirting with me? Marinette thought. Well, it wouldn't be much of a change from Chat Noir, she mused. She also, during their meaningless chatter, hadn't noticed the dragon. Yes, the dragon was not forgotten making its way over to her. She also didn't notice the car that was thrown towards them. Ladybug, look out. She was knocked to the ground by Chat Noir, who had finally reappeared, and she saw Spider-Man catch the car with little effort before dropping it onto the road next to the building they were on. Thanks, Chat Noir, she said as she got to her feet. I didn't see that coming. I noticed. It seemed you were distracted. Chat Noir narrowed his eyes. Is this another one of your superhero friends? Like Rena Rouge? I have no idea who Rena Rouge is, Spider-Man offered, and I just met your friend here. So I think the answer is no, but I'd like to be friends. He held his hand out to Chat Noir, and Marinette could hear the grin in his accented voice again. I'm Spider-Man. I presume you're Chat Noir? Double quotes. At the mention of Spider-Man, Chat Noir's expression changed from jealous suspicion to amusement. Oh, he laughed. You're the one in the YouTube videos. They shook hands, the tension in the air disappearing. Ladybug threw her yo-yo in the air. Lucky charm, she yelled, receiving a very, very long chain. Ladybug turned her attention back to the dragon who was currently smashing every house around it. As she looked over the chains on the dragon and in her hands again, an idea formed in her mind. Chat Noir? She asked. Do you know if cataclysm affects all of one material if it's touching? Huh? Chat Noir echoed. If all the chains on the dragon are touching one another and you use cataclysm, do you think they will all be affected by cataclysm? I think so. Chat Noir nodded. Okay, Marinette said, the plan becoming more clear. Chat Noir, can you go and connect all the chains on the dragon with these? She held up the chains in her hands, and Chat Noir nodded with a grin. And me? Spider-Man asked from behind Marinette. I didn't forget you, Marinette said. You can shoot webs, right? Can you use that to secure the dragon and keep it relatively still? Okay. He nodded. I'm going to go and de-transform as it's going to take us longer than 5 minutes, Marinette said, preparing to jump off the building to hide. De-transform? Spider-Man echoed. Don't you have a miraculous? Chat Noir asked. No. What is that? He responded. It's what we get our powers from. Chat Noir explained. Apart from strength and speed, Ladybug and I also get a special power, but when we use it we have 5 minutes until we de-transform. Oh, okay, Spider-Man responded. I was just bitten by a radioactive spider. I don't have a special anything. I don't have anything special. Marinette handed the chains off to Chat Noir. I'll be back in a few minutes, she said, waving to both of them. She watched them both go towards the dragon and she leapt off the building, ducking into an alleyway as she de-transformed. By the time Marinette made it back to the dragon, Chat Noir and Spider-Man were sitting on top, enjoying a conversation together. Marinette laughed as she saw the dragon lying on the ground, looking very much defeated. Webs were in place along its legs and tail, and also along its snout to keep the jaws closed. Chat Noir and Spider-Man were waiting patiently, and Chat Noir had finished his job of linking all the chains together. It was an amusing sight. Hey guys, she said as she landed on the dragon. The ground moved slightly beneath her feet. The webs probably aren't going to hold for too long, Spider-Man said as he and Chat Noir got to their feet. Okay, Marinette responded. Chat Noir, use your cataclysm now. Chat Noir nodded. Cataclysm, he yelled, placing his hand on one of the decorative chains on the dragon. The chain crumbled beneath his hand, the corroded blackness spreading along the chain until it reached the chains that Marinette had received. And, it's working, exclaimed Spider-Man, his voice growing high-pitched and giddy like a child. As all the chains were now connected, they all disappeared, crumbling to ash. However, no Akuma was in sight. Marinette heard a clink of something landing on the ground and her eyes were drawn to a large gem near the dragon. Spider-Man, presumably following her gaze, was already ahead of her. He pressed the middle fingers to a button on his palm and shot out a web, snagging the gem and bringing it closer. He put it on the ground, smashing it with his foot, and the Akuma fluttered out. Marinette captured the Akuma with her yo-yo and released it. A white butterfly flew out and Spider-Man watched it leave. Miraculous ladybug, Marinette yelled, throwing her yo-yo in the air. The damage caused by the dragon was immediately undone, and the dragon disappeared. However, they didn't see who or what was akumatized as they disappeared. Marinette, Chat Noir and Spider-Man all landed on the ground and people began to emerge from their buildings, all starting to cheer at the success of the superheroes. I should go now, Chat Noir grinned, gesturing to his ring. See you later. He leapt away, jumping onto a nearby building and making his way into the distance. Spider-Man began to answer questions shot at him by the curious crowd and Marinette decided to leave as well, waving a brief goodbye to her new friend and heading towards her house. Chapter 4. Marinette made her way home as quick as she could. Her parents would be wondering where she was, and it was already almost dark. She entered through the front door of the bakery. Her mum was nowhere in sight, presumably upstairs, while her father seemed to be closing up. He glanced up to see Marinette entering through the door and he rushed forward to hug her. You're back, he exclaimed. We heard from the school that there was an Akuma attack and you were all sent home. Where have you been? I'm fine, Marinette grinned. Ladybug and Chat Noir took care of it. she released herself from the hug. I had to hide in a building because the dragon was blocking the way home. She walked up the stairs to the living room. Hi, Mum, she said as her mum sat in front of the TV, presumably watching the news covering the latest Akuma attack. Her mum turned around in surprise. Marinette, you're back, she exclaimed. Alia dropped by with a boy earlier, but you weren't here. Nino? Marinette asked. No, her mum furrowed her brow, trying to remember his name. What was his name? It started with a P, I think. Peter? Marinette interrupted. Yes. His name was Peter. He's one of the exchange students, right? I think Elia said you met him today in class, right? He dropped off some suitcases because he couldn't leave them at school. He hasn't been to where he is staying yet, so I assume that's why he hasn't left his things there. He should be back soon to get the suitcases. Okay. Marinette smiled, giving her mum a thumbs up. She turned to climb another set of stairs, the stairs that lead to her room. She lifted the trapdoor as she got to the top of the stairs, and she entered her room. Marinette glanced around the room, opening her purse. Tiki flew out and hovered next to her face, following Marinette as she sat down at the desk where her computer was. Tiki, what did you think of that Spider-Man guy? She asked her Kwame friend. He doesn't seem to be an akumatized villain pretending to be a superhero, like Volpina was, Tiki offered. Agreed, Marinette grinned, booting up her computer and opening Elia's blog. She looked at the most recent posts. However, it seemed Elia hadn't posted anything related to the new superhero that had appeared. Try searching the whole internet for Spider-Man, Tiki suggested. Marinette nodded. She didn't find anything about who he was, or where he got his powers. In spite of this, Marinette did find a few theories floating around. They were mostly pretty bad theories, the majority of them claiming that a friend of theirs was Spider-Man or people claiming that they were Spider-Man. It was nothing different to the theories about Ladybug and Chat Noir. One theory caught her eye, however. It showed how on multiple occasions, Spider-Man and Iron Man, aka Tony Stark, had been spotted together. The theory then suggested that Spider-Man was Iron Man's adopted son, or even his biological son. While Marinette did not believe the theory at all, she found it notable that Spider-Man knew Iron Man. That actually makes some sense. Marinette thought Spider-Man's suit looked like it was made of metal. Tony Stark probably made it for him. She also found out that Spider-Man was mostly sighted in New York, specifically Queens. There was a subtle noise as her mum opened the trapdoor behind her. Hi, Marinette, her mum said, as Marinette turned around. Tiki flew behind her, hiding from the view of her mum. Did you need something? Marinette asked. Is Peter here to get his stuff? No, her mum said, waving her hand dismissively. We just wanted to let you know that we offered to let one of the exchange students stay with us. It was really last minute, so that's why we couldn't tell you earlier. I hope you don't mind. Not at all. Marinette grinned. It would be cool to have someone staying with us for a while. Her mum smiled. That's good to hear. She'll come here after school tomorrow, and if you don't meet her during school, you'll meet her then. Cool, thanks. Marinette grinned again, turning back to the computer. Her mum went back down the stairs and the trapdoor closed with a thunk. Tiki flew out from her hiding place and they continued to look for information on the internet. Her mother was gone for a few minutes before coming back up. Marinette, your friend is here, she said, opening up the trapdoor slightly before closing it again. Okay, Marinette responded as she turned off her computer and Tiki flew into her purse to hide. Marinette climbed down the stairs to the living room. Her mum handed her one of Peter's suitcases and helped her take the other one down to the bakery entrance where Peter was waiting. Hey Peter, Marinette grinned, handing him his suitcase. Sorry for not being here earlier. Oh, hey, Marinette, Peter replied, saying her name slowly to make sure he didn't make a mistake. Thanks for letting me keep my things here. No problem. Marinette smiled. Do you still need someone to show you where Chloe lives? Yes. Thank you, Peter responded, his face reddening slightly. He brushed a strand of hair from his face, but didn't notice how messy all his hair looked. He must have been chasing after the Akuma with Elia. Marinette mused. Well, let's go then. Don't want it to get any darker, Marinette said. Taking the other suitcase from her mother's hands, they walked in silence for a few minutes. A small degree of awkward tension hung in the air between them. Marinette finally broke the silence. So, where are you from, Peter? I mean like, where in America? Oh, I'm from Queens, he responded. It's in New York. Oh really? Marinette glanced sideways at Peter. So you've heard of that Spider-Man guy, right? Yeah. I've heard of Spider-Man, Peter replied, sounding a bit caught off guard. I've actually met him before. Marinette stopped and turned to face Peter. You've met Spider-Man? Why yeah, even in the dim light. Marinette noticed Peter's face flush red briefly. I have this internship thing with Tony Stark. He was there once, and I met him. I didn't see who was under the mask or anything, but yeah, that's actually really cool. Marinette grinned, placing a hand on his shoulder. He flinched slightly at her touch. I mean, I've met Ladybug and Chat Noir most of our class has, but they're not big superheroes like Iron Man or Spider-Man, and you've met them both. Thanks. Not many people believe me, Peter replied, smiling slightly. They walked up to the entrance of Le Grand Paris, the place where Peter was staying where Chloe lived. Just so you know, Marinette said, turning to Peter, Chloe might say bad things about people in our class, specifically me. Don't believe any of it. She's just being Chloe. Okay, I'll keep mind that, Peter responded. He paused, realizing he made a mistake. His face flushed as he rushed to correct himself. I mean, it's okay, Peter. I understood what you meant, Marinette interrupted, smiling slightly in amusement. Chloe noticed them waiting outside and she rushed to the doors, opening them. Peter right, she asked. Taking his second suitcase from Marinette's hand, she looked at Marinette and frowned slightly. Yeah, Peter nodded. I think I saw you in class this morning, right? That's right, Chloe said. Come on in. I'm assuming you haven't eaten yet. She grabbed his arm and pulled him inside. Peter barely had time to turn and thank Marinette before the door closed in her face. Yep, that's Chloe, she mused, turning around and walking back home. End of chapter 4. What do you think of my first what if? Link down below if you want to read the rest of the story. I was planning to do a different what if. The original plan was a Black Clover what if, but I changed my mind into a Spider-Man and miraculous what if. I have to add this, but I will only upload one video every 3 days. Making a I what is are not easy, but either way I hope you enjoy. Goodbye.